Hey, fellas, we're closed.
What is this?
Well, James, we're here to talk. Obviously, what Jackson and I are happy to bring you back. We're talking about your new film. And it's here's the thing, and what I love about you and what I love about your energy and what you put up on screen is that you have just this absolute love of 80s, 90s action movies. And the workout, I mean, come on. This is like absolutely, am I right? This is inspired by those movies big
Oh, for
time.
sure, for sure. It's very much like an '80s. I mean, like it's very like Death Wish meets like any of the Joel Silver movies, but like with a twist where we go found footage. But I mean, I've just always liked those. You know, I just remember when I was a kid watching movies. Movies used to just be fun. Like like everything was just like, oh, you just see like these bombastic, fun films, and I think over time everything's gotten very serious, and I'm just like a big proponent. I know this is kind of weird, but I believe in like counter programming. So like when times are really good, make really dark movies, and like and like with a really deep message. And when times are really bad, everybody knows times are bad. So like make really fun movies that they don't have to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I agree with that too, in the sense of like the 80s, 90s action style, like movies like Terminator or Total Recall,
Yeah.
stuff like that, they had plots that made sense, but that weren't super deep. And then you just had a really good time following along with the story and seeing things blow up and stuff. Because I felt like with the workout, it was kind of like a Punisher story.
Oh yeah,
Like
for sure.
like he turned into the Punisher and, went on his trail of revenge. But even at that, I mean, revenge is a kind of a center theme in stories that have been told throughout human history of all different kinds. What it comes with, whether it's worth it or not. Actually, one of my favorite stories, The Count of Monte Cristo, is all about that.
I love The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, it's really great. So I think that it was definitely a fun ride, but having that at the center and him battling with, how his daughter is going to see him in the future, versus like, am I really doing this for her or am I doing this for me? So that, that was still in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's really interesting about him making this almost as like a video journal for his daughter. What I found interesting about doing that is like a lot of people think about like revenge, but what they don't think about is like legacy. Like like what are we leaving behind to those who do this? Like his daughter probably does not believe in murder. This was not a good idea by any way, shape, or form. He probably should have just left the whole situation alone and moved on with his life and spent the time that he could have with his daughter. But it's also a person who, I mean, you're trying to ask for rational thought from somebody who is so completely blinded by emotion and stuck in this fight or flight moment, because when he got that brain damage from getting hit in the head, that your body almost, when you get traumatic brain injury like that, your body stays in that like fight or flight. It's like that anxiety, it never leaves that moment. I mean, a lot of football players talk about that as well. And that's also why a lot of ex-military people have like a lot of PTSD from bombs going off, because your body gets conditioned into that moment. And so we have a character who, I mean, we have all these doctors in the movie telling you that he has brain damage, and yet like we are the logic of him making this video and stuff, it's illogical, but we're going along with his logic.
Well,
Yeah.
I got to jump in really quick too, because revenge movies I've always loved, but I've always had an issue because a lot of revenge movies, it's too clean. It's too like, yeah, I killed all the bad guys. Now everything's going on. But you're talking about legacy. You're talking about, I mean, look, sitting next to me is one of my favorite trilogies. Lady Vengeance.
Oh, it's the greatest trilogy in history.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Old Boy,
Yeah, with Old
Sympathy.
Boy being the greatest movie ever made, Park
Yeah,
Chan-wook is the best living director in the world. So,
I think this is my favorite, believe it or not.
oh really?
I
Old
think,
Boy's my favorite. Old
yeah,
Boy's my
I think
favorite.
it's a parent thing. I think it's a parent.
Yeah.
Jackson, you need to see these movies. I'm gonna send you
I
the
do, yeah, because I'm a little bit in the dark right now, but
yeah,
I know you have great taste. And
Oh yeah, Old Boy. I mean, Park Chan Wook has never made a bad movie.
no,
The Vengeance trilogy is phenomenal.
yeah,
I mean, it's and you know that's the thing. What I love about a movie like Old Boy and even Lady Vengeance, as well as Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, like Korean cinema, especially like the early 2000s Korean cinema, you know, with these movies, there's so much dark humor in these darker movies, and so like you know we injected that into the workout. I mean, it is very. There's a lot of stuff where there's like moments where people are gonna laugh and they're like, "Should I be laughing here?" And it's like, yes, we are intentionally putting in jokes. Like you know, there's a scene, not to give anything away, where somebody gets stabbed in the arm with a knife, and then like a minute later, somebody asks him, "Hey, where'd you get that knife?" That's like he had just
yeah,
pulled out of his arm. You know?
great
yeah.
scene by the way. That
Oh
that
yeah.
made me laugh. Look, what about the casting for this? Because you have to find people that can train. That are
Yeah.
you got two of the greatest people. You got Jesse Cove, you got Augie Duke in there, which I
Yes, I love them. Augie Duke and Jesse Cove are awesome. You know, my whole cast is awesome. This was one of the strangest casting processes ever because this movie came together in such a unique and weird way. I posted an Instagram post saying it was right after the strike had ended, and I was like, I have not worked as like a director during the strike at
yeah.
all. And so I was like, you know, I'm super bored. I have not made it. I'm going to start filming something next week, no matter what. Who's in? And every single person that responded to that post and said that they were in, that's who's in the movie. That I cast the movie from that Instagram post. And like literally we started writing it like the day of that post. And I just like made the movie. So like from like the idea of like, hey, let's do this to like actually starting filming was like a week and a half. It was crazy.
Oh my God, that's insane. I'm shocked by that because it's like, yeah, that's you can't make a movie like that. But here's the thing, you can't. You can't. And Jackson, I want to add you into this. Just fill you. So James and I have been doing a lot of Q&A stuff and kind of going into like all the trying to really build a community of filmmakers, and it's something that I'm almost surprised James hasn't been done more. I mean, I know Eli Roth is trying to do it a little bit, but what I mean, what excites you about that? And are you finding any do you find any success with that? Are you seeing people kind of get out?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I would say that like the film industry as a whole is so daunting. You know, like, you know, a lot of people it's one of those things where just like to think of it, it's overwhelming, you know,
Yeah.
and I think creating a community where everything is accessible is, I think, more interesting. I mean, I know it's funny when you think about it like this because I make movies that I try to just have fun with, and especially my action movies, you know I try to have as much fun. But like I imagine filmmaking very similar to like you know like painting, like any other art. And so like, you know, what do you do? Like I look at like every other industry outside of film that's like an arts industry. People will have like a little concert and they give away free tickets. So like come to my show.
Yeah.
People are like, you know, people will be like, hey, you know, here, let's go to this art gallery opening and look at all these the our friends' paintings. People like do, but for some reason there's like this elitist mentality when it comes to film, and I'm like, no, let's all share our art. Let's hang out. Let's talk about art in general. Let's see how we can collaborate. And like, let's have fun doing it, you know? And I don't, it's so interesting because it's the art form that takes so many people to work together to make something. And
Mhm.
yet it feels the most disconnected. Whereas all the other industries feel like it's like, oh, cool. You also paint? I'd love to see your paintings. You know, it's like, it's like the second I meet other filmmakers, I'm like, yo, I'll send you screeners of my movies if you send me screeners of yours. I want to watch your movies.
No one
and
does
and
that.
And that's really good too, just as I think, we're entering an era and a time where quality is so much more important. And that can come from, I mean, a lot of where quality comes from is effort and passion. Just because you have a big budget doesn't mean that you have the best team behind you. And even if you do have the most skilled, group of editors or whatever, doesn't mean they care about the project they're making. I mean, I've recently gotten into documentary filmmaking too. And, there's nothing new under the sun. So ultimately, I'm not going to be talking about things that no one's ever discussed before. However, now, that kind of general sit in front of a camera and talk about things with editing in the background, like AI can do that. So now there's a lot more of a shift towards, actually getting out here and filming in front of buildings and filming with good scenery and putting in an effort that really sticks out. So I think that independent creators in all forms are going to be seeing a lot more success going forward, especially in the climate that we live in.
Yeah, I think if people lean more into their voices, they're going to have
Mhm.
success. And I think also, I talk about this a lot, and I think, the workout's a living example of it. Like it's one of the lowest budget movies I've made in a very long time, but I think it's got a lot of heart, and that's because everybody who was involved in the movie. I mean, if you look all the screenings we've had, the whole cast keeps going to all the screenings. Like we're all supporting the movie nonstop, and that's because we all have a vested interest in it doing well. And it's one of those things. I know this is crazy to like kind of compare it to, but like I have friends that are social media influencers, and I watch them on Instagram do like collaborative posts where they all post the same post together of like some comedy sketch that they do together. And like those blow up and you look at them having fun. And I think that like the filmmaking, especially the indie filmmaking ecosystem, is going to become more like that, where
Mm.
everybody's posting and doing a movie together, and really has a vested interest in doing it and pushing it out there. It's amazing how many times people are just clocking in and clocking out to make a movie, and they're not there to actually like see the success of it. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know I think it's going to, with everything going on in the world, what's going to be weeded out of the industry is those who don't actually fully have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, kind of just being in like a gilded age, just as the economy goes down, people can't really necessarily trust in the traditional outlets.
Yeah.
100%. There's so much AI content, and overall, it's just not good. You know what I mean? Like you can just tell. You can tell that there's no soul behind it. And again, just because you have a big following, people are starting to get bored. So I think that it's pretty exciting for creators of all kinds, to where not only do you have an opportunity to get exposure, but your effort really goes further now because people are getting tired of simple slop content.
Yeah.
And I,
Yeah,
I
I mean, it's
and I was going to
interesting. Like,
ask in regards to that, like how you or what made you come up with the plot point of how the main character is basically losing his mind and his memory throughout the countdown of the movie.
so that was a device that me and my co-writer David came up with, because we were trying to justify a reason for him to be filming the movie. And like that was, I mean, we had to basically justify it three different times. One was, the very first scene, they're making a workout video. Then like, Levi is recording things for the whatchamacallit, the GoFundMe type deal that they had. And then he's recording everything to try and remember, stuff in case he forgets certain details so he could look back at footage. And there's a scene where you see him rewatching footage to like try and get jogged up on what he knew. And then there's also, the legacy factor for the daughter. Because one thing, as weird as it sounds, like I've always been bothered in found footage movies, where it's like, well, why are they filming this still? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love Cloverfield, but like, if I had a giant monster coming after me, I would have ditched that camera and gotten out of
Yeah,
there.
a
I would have
long
been like,
time,
let me
right?
get this
Exactly.
shot of this monster.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And too, as you mentioned before, whether it's people in situations like warfare, but even like people growing up in chaotic households, that type of stuff sticks with people and can make them react to situations like maybe extreme reactions or people going into themselves. So even if you're not losing your memory like that, I think that things like PTSD are starting to be more understood, with just how people react to their emotions.
Yeah,
Because as you pointed out clearly, this wasn't really the most logical best path forward, because for his daughter, later on in life, it'd be like, well, you could have just lived, or you could have not gotten yourself into prison, or whatever
yeah,
the potential outcomes of him doing that were.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely made the movie, um, that's what made it the most interesting to me.
yeah. I mean, it's like, almost like a descent into mad. I mean, we frame it differently, but it's like, basically like, if this happened to like, Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, like how's he going to react to this? And,
Hmm.
and so we're just, going down this path of this person who, because we're seeing it from his account, it feels heroic, but what he's really doing is murdering a ton of people, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's not fully heroic here.
That's
Yeah.
kind of why I like it though, James, because it does, yeah, it's I think we get really a little too heavy-handed with we have to worship our movie heroes. Sometimes they're just awful people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see Clockwork Orange going, "Oh, well, yeah, they're horrible people, so I hate this movie." No, they're fascinating because they're criminals and they're
Yeah. I mean, I love having, I did this with the Van Damme movie too. I love having like flawed leads. And
yeah,
so like, having my character like always working in like this morally gray area where you can see where they're coming from, you can understand it, and then, it tells you about yourself if you identify with what they're doing or not, but a lot of the times like, they're problematic characters.
yeah.
Because I just that's the one thing I never liked was these squeaky clean leads where it's like, oh, that's the superhero. And maybe it's
Yeah,
because I'm so
yeah.
tired of superhero movies where it's like, okay, well, he can do no wrong. He's Spider-Man.
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean that's an example of, well, it makes the characters more human.
Yeah.
And also, like the squeaky clean, that's why I've always liked like Vegeta better than Goku,
Oh yeah,
or,
Vegeta's
or,
awesome.
or Sasuke more than Naruto, because like Naruto and Goku are just good and they're gonna win, and everything they do is for righteousness, but like people just don't really function that way. Vegeta's dealing with like, his story is just more interesting. He's supposed to be the prince of this race that's now wiped out, and he keeps losing to this person who's supposed to be beneath him, and he's like struggling, all this stuff going on. Batman versus Superman. I mean, Superman is an interesting character, but overall, he's just kind of better than everyone else. Whereas Batman, like, he's not good with people. He's always pushing people out of his life. He has to keep himself super angry, or else he can't be Batman. So,
Yeah.
like, it's just makes for more interesting characters, because that's really more of what people go through.
Batman's
Um,
definitely my favorite superhero of
Hell
the
yeah.
superheroes. And shout out to Robert Pattinson. I think he actually, interestingly, I feel like he played the best, like the most comic accurate
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I
Um,
agree.
because
Agreed.
everybody else, every other person played Batman as Bruce Wayne, who took up the cowl and became Batman, and Robert Pattinson played it as Batman, who has to pretend that he's Bruce Wayne.
Yes,
And
yes.
like I thought that was a really interesting choice, and it really reminded me of like Frank Miller's Year One, which is my favorite Batman comic
Oh
series.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's probably my favorite superhero movie in ages
Oh
because
yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
it's
I'm
so
looking at the
good.
time, James. We only have a couple minutes with you because I don't.
Oh, oh no, this went by so quick.
But Jackson, do you have anything you want to follow up, or James, do you want to just share where people can find you and what you have? Anything you want to share?
Yes. Yes. You could watch the workout right now. It's on VOD on Apple TV, on iTunes, on Amazon, on Roku, basically anywhere you would rent a movie normally, that's where you'd find it. And then you can follow me on social media at James Cullen B. And keep indie cinema alive.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Jackson, you and I, we gotta do a superhero team or something, like a cop drama or something, right?
Something like that, man. We got to
I'd watch
figure it
it.
out.
I'd watch it.
Be
Yes,
bounty hunters or
James, you got
something like
directed.
that.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
All
We'll
right,
figure
guys.
it out.
Well,
But yeah, no, definitely great conversation, and keep the hustle alive, keep the passion going, and definitely look forward to having more conversations with you.
yeah.
Thank you. You too. And let me know what you think of Jared Honest. Is it
Oh
all
yeah,
hype
I
or
will. I might
yeah,
try that this weekend.
yeah, you got to do it. You let me know if it's all hype or if you like it. It's pretty
All
good.
right, sounds good.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Bye, James.